For people that don't know, let's talk about this Hunter Moore situation for a minute. And I know you're probably tired of explaining that situation, but he contacted you actually to do security for him, correct?
It was actually advertising. So he saw me, it was on Anderson Cooper at the time. He saw me on there and said, okay, let's see if we could do some advertising. And I had never even heard of his anyoneUp.com. So I'll never forget the day I went to the site. I couldn't believe it was legal. Right out of the gate, I'm seeing pictures. The very first picture I saw on that site was a girl who was definitely not 18, 17, or even 16. This was a very young girl. And then I kept scrolling down and I'd see other photos. But what really struck me more than the photo, which is horrific, was the comments underneath it. So he'd post the photo and then his followers would come in and post where she lived, where her parents worked, what her parents' social media accounts were. And their whole goal then was to stalk and harass the entire family. And they would take that photo. Maybe the dad and mom didn't even know that photo existed. And next thing you know, it's everywhere. It's on Facebook. It's everywhere you can imagine. And in a lot of instances, I know of one instance for sure where a girl committed suicide after being on that site. And I got mad. I was very angry when I saw it. And from that very moment, I was like, who the hell runs this site? How is this legal? Who runs it? Where is it located? And how quickly is it going to take me to get this down? And how am I going to do it? Am I going to legally go about it, or am I going to go about it a different way?
And we now know that he had kind of a core group of followers. I'd never heard of it either until the miniseries or docuseries or whatever it was. I had never heard of it. And then, like you, when I saw the action of the followers in attacking family members, or if somebody tried to get the pictures down, they were just psychopathic in their attacks, threats, intimidation of these people. And when we talked earlier, is the internet a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know how those people are in the rest of their lives, because I'm a strong believer in this concept of the keyboard bully. I think people will say and do things anonymously on their keyboard that they would never say to someone in an elevator.
That's right.
Or standing next to them in the line at the grocery store.
That's right.
But they are cowards. They hide in anonymity and say all of this stuff. But there is a certain level of psychopathy for these people that have no empathy at all for the targets.
Right.
You've got a young girl and her parents and grandparents and schoolmates and people that they humiliate her and embarrass her. They don't care. And some of the things they say about her and how they want to defile these girls.
They have a hatred for women and girls in general, obviously, to do that.
It's unbelievable that this is currency for them, that they get a payoff from this. Surely there are those people in the world without the internet, but I do think it brings that out. I think it brings out the worst in some people.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Like you say, you encounter that
every day
a lot. And when you went after this site, talk about the process you went through to get that site down.
Yeah, so the first thing we did was, let's see what's going on here. Let's see, and this happened 10 years ago from a statute of limitations standpoint. I think I'm safe here, but you have to look for vulnerabilities. Is there a way to take this site down one way or another? Could you DDoS this site and, just hit it with a ton of traffic and so much traffic, you flood it with so much, it just goes down, and you keep those lasers pointing, keep hitting it, and just keep it down forever. You look for ports that might be open, other ways that you can get in, get the fox in the hen house, for example. I won't disclose how I may or may not have allegedly got in there, but I can tell you that the thought after seeing what I saw, I look for certain keywords like suicide. How many people emailed Hunter Moore saying, or posted underneath? I saw victims on his site posting right underneath the photo, "Please take this down. I'm going to commit suicide." And he would write back, LOL. So you knew from that point on this guy has no empathy. He does not care about anyone or anything. But as I was looking at it, I also saw, based off of his traffic, that he didn't have a lot of money. He was touting he was making $25,000 a month in revenue. I know for a fact that was false. So we said, okay, the first step here is let's offer this guy some money. Let's figure out what to pay this guy and see, if he'll take it, if he'll take the bait. But we also had a plan B just
to buy
in case.
The site.
Yeah, just to buy the site, take it down. I knew he was desperate for money. You see him online. You'd see him on Twitter. He's doing cocaine off of a woman's backside. He's cocaine everywhere. That was the main thing with Hunter Moore, was cocaine. So that's not a cheap hobby. That's a very expensive habit from what I can tell. So he was running out of cash. So I said, okay, we're going to offer him some money. So we offered him like $12,500. I said, give you $12,500. I don't want the content of the site because there's pedophilic images on there. I'm not taking that over to Bullyville. But I want the domain because the domain was getting millions of hits a day. So that just shows you how messed up the internet can be. There were at least 2 million unique visitors going to Is Anyone Up every single day to look at fresh content of girls and guys being humiliated online with completely naked images. We make him the offer. He mulls it through. And then he comes back and says, I'll sell it. So, okay. Now, our thought being, this guy's going to try and pull wool over our eyes. We're going to give him the money. We'll wire the money over. He'll give us the site. But then he's probably going to launch a new site with the exact same images that we said we weren't going to take. Sure enough, not even, a couple weeks later, he comes out on Twitter. He's on a cocaine-induced rampage. He's calling me a pedophile. He's threatening to rape my beautiful wife while my kids are watching, completely out of control, and goes off the deep end. And then simultaneously says he's going to launch another revenge porn site 10 times worse than Is Anyone Up. He was going to launch isanyoneup2.com with the same images. So at this time, I reached out. I have some friends in the hacking group Anonymous, who I'm very close with, who I've worked on other ops with. And we devised Plan B to make sure that that site never went live and that those images were completely and permanently destroyed.
So he thought he kept the content, but if he went to access the content, he would not have been able to.
He initially had the content at his disposal and was getting ready to launch that site, and he was hacked. And the site was hacked, and the images were located. They were deleted. He had a backup drive, allegedly, hooked to the server, and that backup drive also had those images. That backup drive was also wiped. And then the site was rerouted, and to this day, it points to my site.
Yeah. Hypothetically, whoever did that shut him off from those images. They were no longer available to him. At that point, he is out of business.
He's done.
He has no library.
That's exactly right. His content's gone.
When in that process was it determined that he was, in fact, hacking those images instead of getting revenge porn from ex-boyfriends?
Yeah. So what was discovered via email, there was another person who was a hacker who then reached out to Hunter and said, listen, I have all these images for you. Pay me a price and I'll give them to you. And that's exactly what Hunter did, because what started to happen with Hunter's site was people were getting disgusted by it. And, there were a lot of people coming at him from a lot of different angles. So he was not getting the same content he was used to getting. There weren't as many uploads, but he still needed content from somewhere to keep people coming back to the site. And this hacker offered him that opportunity and he took it.
People were getting disgusted with him for what?
The public in general was disgusted that he was able to run a site like this, that how is this legal to run a revenge porn site? And it wasn't even that. It was more so about how is he getting all this media attention? He's on Anderson Cooper. He's on all these daytime talk shows discussing this revenge porn site, which ironically, by going on these talk shows, was driving 10 times the amount of traffic to it.
That's the thing. I had never heard of it until the Netflix thing. People had never heard of it till he starts getting called out in the media.
That's right.
But that's his best advertising.
It's the Barbara Streisand effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, just
yeah, it just goes crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So at that point, they get investigated and find out these aren't revenge porn images. These are stolen images.
These are hacked images, private images.
Yeah, private images that people have hacked and he's putting up. And that is against the law.
Yeah. And that's, the FBI was involved in that point. I know the FBI in LA, I know it was the FBI in Washington, D.C., the cyber crimes unit who I'd been talking to. So they were fully aware of what was going on, but they were also doing it in.
And how long did he stay in prison?
So he only got 2.5 years. And the interesting thing was from the time we ended up shutting the site down, it was years before the FBI and, the case went to court. So, a lot of people said, well, the site was going to get shut down soon anyways with the FBI intervention. Not true. It was 2 years almost from the time we shut it down to where he went to prison. Things have changed now. For that same crime that he did, we probably get a decade at a minimum.
When was the site last up?
It was in April of 2012. And I know this because Vice did a short documentary about this whole thing. And it was a 10-year anniversary just this past April. So 10 years ago, we shut the site down. It's been a decade. So look how far things have come in a decade.
Yeah.